Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Candid Chat with women leaders at AB InBev. This is part of the Algorithm Initiative, as most of you are aware. I'm very excited to welcome Ankita, Divya, and Shreyoshi onto the show. Hi, Divya, Ankita, and Shreyoshi. Lovely to have you here. And let's get started without further ado. So, Divya, I just got to know that in fact you are a campus hire at AB InBev. You got hired a couple of years ago. So, can you tell us about your journey from being a campus hire to where you are today as a senior manager within your department?
So the journey has quite been an interesting one. In my team, I was the third person to join, though we had a team of vendors out there. But as an employee, I was the third employee, and this was back in 2018, close to 4 years before, when things and processes were still setting up. The zones, our clients, they were not even aware of the existence of our team, and since I work in the cyber security team, I was supposed to protect the company from the cyber attacks, and the cyber attacks, they kept on coming in, and we just did whatever was the best for the company. And from that, today we have a team of 60 plus, and our portfolio has grown manifold during these past 4 years. So two things which really worked for me in throughout was, one was resilience. So even though things were not working, or they were still setting up, just did whatever I was meant to do, or whatever was for the best. And the second one is the confidence, always asking for the things which I felt I deserved. So be it in terms of the hikes or promotions, I always felt that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. Will always be no. So close to 4 years, the journey has been from senior specialist to manager, and currently senior manager.
Great, Divya. In fact, your statement around asking for what you want, right? I think that is an extremely important learning for all of us. It's so important to ask for what you want. You should never hesitate. And can you tell us a little more about what you do today in your current role as senior manager?
So in one line, I protect the beers and cheers of AB InBev. So to elaborate more, within AB InBev, as we all know, there are 200 plus breweries out there, and each of the brewery, they have we have machines connected over a network, and the risk is that if an attacker gets inside of this network, they can cause a major disruption and business loss. So my role as a senior manager, cyber security operations, is to put the defense layers, proactive measures in place to thwart these attacks, and also make sure that there is an incident response team, well skilled, well equipped to handle any situation if anything goes wrong, if there is any kind of attack malware found in our environment.
Sounds very interesting, Divya. Thanks for sharing that. Shreyoshi, I remember when we were chatting a couple of days ago, you mentioned that you made a huge pivot in your career from a completely different industry to the one you're in currently. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you do today and what you like about your role?
So, like I was telling you earlier, right? Like I come from a family of doctors and engineers. So, because I could not become a doctor, I became an engineer, right? And then when I went into the college, I realized that for the lack of a better word, I sucked at it, right? I had zero aptitude for being an engineer, but somehow I passed, right? Like I got through Infosys and I joined Infosys. And there also the situation was same. Thank God I had a very good team lead who was very supportive. He also understood that I needed to like do something else, right? So he gave me a lot of support when I practiced for CAT, ZAT, right? Like because for me, I felt that when I was an engineer in Infosys, I was not very good at the work aspect, but I was very active in the activities aspect, right? So if there was a treasure hunt, like I was the one who was doing that for my department. If there was a MasterChef competition, I was the one going from my department. And I thought at that time, so if I can make my money making an official career out of those things. So that was my idea of what an HR was at that time. But obviously now I know it's a lot more. So I gave my cat went it was awful, right? But somehow I got through that. I scored really well and I got into HR. I was very clear from the beginning, even though I got into business and finance and all of that, that I would go into HR because I was very bad at maths also, unfortunately. So I went into HR, and then again, like Divya, I got my PPO from XIMB. I joined Tata Steel, and through different steps, other steps in my career, I now I'm in AB InBev, right? Like, and I really love my job. I know right now that there's more to HR than a Rangoli competition, definitely, right? And we do a lot of amazing things here in AB InBev, and I really love my role. I love the impact that my role has in the organization. I get to do a lot of very cool initiatives, and the best thing about the organization here is that if you come up with an idea and you can implement it, right, you are given complete ownership and freedom to go ahead with it, right? And there is immense support there, but then you have to own the failures as well, right? Like, it's a opportunity cost kind of a thing. So I get to do a lot of amazing things here in the people team. I have been able to work with the team to implement some very good platforms, inject tech into HR, which will help drive business value, drive analytics and people decisions, right? So I'm very happy where I am right now.
Nice to hear that, Shreyoshi. Thanks for sharing. Ankita, each one of us has a different leadership style, right? And our style evolves over time. So, what is your style like? How did you identify your leadership style? And can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So first of all, I would just want to kind of elaborate on my leadership journey here and at AB InBev. So I've been associated with AB InBev for almost 4 years now. I joined back in 2018, and it's 2022, and I became a director last year during the conclusion or the end of my maternity leaves. I had gone on my maternity leaves, and that's when this opportunity knocked my doors. That's when I got into the leadership role, so to say. So I had been, in various roles in AB InBev, and as Shreyashi mentioned, I also took a very swift change from my earlier career to the place where I am now. I think over a period of time, I realized the kind of leadership style that I have is that I want to give a lot of freedom to my team to work, right? I give them free hand to do whatever they want to come up with new ideas, bring about a change. But yes, they have to, come forward to bring about that change. That is something which I look forward to. So that's my leadership style, giving a lot of space and a lot of freedom to my team bring about the change and get the transformation done.
That's nice, Ankita. It's always good to give freedom. And I think as an employee and a team member, I'm sure your team members appreciate it quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Divya, do you have anything unique about your leadership style that you think you would like to mention?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ownership and accountability to my reportees. I think something very similar to what Ankita said, because I feel partly because it's the culture of ABI. The culture of ABI is like that. We have ownership in the blood of every employee, I feel. And I got this leadership style from my own manager. And I think it brought out the best in me. So I try to do the same for my reportees as well, hold them accountable for everything they're doing, and any kind of project or anything is there, making them the owners.
Okay, that sounds good. Shreyoshi, what would you like to add to this?
So, so my leadership style is preparing for the worst case scenario, right? I completely believe in Murphy's law that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, like, right? So whenever I'm implementing anything big, right, doing anything change management, I always imagine what the worst case scenario is going to be, and I prepare myself according to that. That has really, I think, helped me so far. The other thing that I do is I like to collaborate, right? Like, I do not direct, but and currently I'm in a team where I have a lot of uh, influence but not that much of an authority. So I have a lot of diverse teams that I work with, but I do not have a team reporting to me. So how do I kind of like have that same impact and drive the same amount of work without having direct reportees under me is something that I have also kind of like learned here, right? And I feel that is also very important, that how do you have that influence or impact in driving projects when you do not have that reporting manager, reportee kind of a relationship. So these are a couple of things that I do.
Very interesting. And listening to all of you, it does seem like the culture of ABI is very open and there is a lot of freedom given to people as long as they are delivering results. So, very nice to hear that. And a good message for all those of you out there who are looking to apply to AB InBev. So, all of us throughout the course of our career, especially when we're taking on anything challenging, have moments of self doubt, right? Before our confidence kicks in. So, can you talk about any moments of self doubt that you have experienced and how did you manage? Reyoshi, do you want to go with it?
Yeah, like I was telling you, I think around 7, 8 years ago when I was in Infosys, I think it was the first time I tasted any sort of failure, right? Because I've always been academically very good. So coming to the workplace and realizing that you're not good enough, right? Like that really hit hard. But then I have always been optimistic, right? Like so I kind of like decided that I cannot be in a career where I am never not going to be good enough, right? So that's what prompted my decision to start looking out and see what are other avenues available for me and kind of like go through the MBA route, right? Like, so I think that is very important, right? Always try to make the best of any situation you are at. But if you feel that it's never going to work out, right? Always be ready to make cut your losses and start something fresh, because we all want to be really good, but we want to be in a place where when we have a career, right, we are doing really well for ourselves, because otherwise it's a very I think it's a very kind of like a sad situation to be at, that your career is something where you're not doing well.
Thanks for sharing that, Shreyoshi. And it's so important. It takes a lot of courage also, to make that pivot in your career because it comes with a lot of risks. You're never not sure what the future holds. So thanks for sharing that. Divya, do you want to talk about any moment of vulnerability that you experienced in your career and how did you handle it?
So Uma, back in my first company, when I was a fresher, I faced a, you can say, a challenge, and it was a challenge for me how to gel with. So I was in a team of just male colleagues around me, and I remember every evening they would go out for a smoke. Okay, and since I did not smoke and I could not relate to it, they did not ask me, and even I did not volunteer to go out with them, and I felt as if I'm not bonding well with them because of this, because they might be going out there, they might be discussing things which are related to my team working, and I might be left out in certain of the conversation. I think I was doing a lot of overthinking at that point of time, but because of that, I felt really underconfident in talking to them, because I always felt that there is something which I don't know. There was a fear of missing out, you can say. But I think over the time I overcame just by establishing my relationship one on one with each of the colleagues, and that really helped. That helped me regaining my confidence, and even after that, it never affected me how many times, no matter how many times of the day they went out.
Thanks for sharing that, Divya. And like you said, it's extremely important to build your network within the organization. It's important to connect with people, not just in your team, but in other teams within the organization. So, thanks for sharing that experience and the learning. Now, all of us realize, right, as we proceed in our career journey, sometimes we wonder, how would our career have shaped up had we known these things 10 years ago or when we started our career. So, if you had a chance to look back at a younger version of you that was starting off her career, what are three pieces of advice you would give to her? Ankita, shall we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So I think one piece of advice that I have to give to the younger audience who's a part of this session today is, I think, building the network. I think that is something which I really missed out on in the early days of my career. Not networking much with people, and just being limited to yourself and to your work in the organization, which really does not help. Later in my career, I did realize, with a lot of guidance from my mentors, from my managers, from my supervisors, that it's very, very important to grow your network and to speak to as many people as you can, and grow your career, build your network within the organization and outside the organization. It really helps you grow your career. So I think networking is really, really important, especially in corporates. Really takes you really ahead in the career. That's what I realized, a little late in my life, but that's the piece of advice that I would want to give to the younger audience here.
Thanks, Ankita.